Again, the Smith machine one-legged squat will work different muscle groups than the dumbbell or the barbell free weight. Oh, fuck. So somebody asked yesterday what they should do about a back injury, like how should they train their legs if they have a back injury. And seeing as I herniated a disc in my back when I was 18 years old, deadlifting improperly, not knowing how to keep my back flat and arched and all this kind of stuff, I'm well aware of lower back injuries and what it's like to have one, and it's a horrible sort of situation. But can you train legs? Well, again, first of all, I just want to say it just depends on the severity of your back injury. Okay, so the person that actually made a comment, he said that he could actually still do lunges and things. So his back injury is moderate, not the type of back injury where you can't even walk, on your hands and knees trying to crawl to the kitchen or whatever. So this is a different level of injury. Okay, so assuming there's a certain level of recovery in your back where you can actually still lift weights or still stand and still walk and do those types of things. Here are some safer exercises for lower back. Okay, so I would say, honestly, to train legs and to get big legs, do you have to squat? I would say, no, you don't have to squat. Do I prefer to squat? Yes, I do. I do prefer to squat, and I do think that it does offer some amazing benefits. But when you do have a lower back injury, well, this is kind of impossible. Squatting is a little tough. I mean, you can go really light and everything, but at the same time, perhaps it still is irritating your lower back. So here are some exercises I would recommend. One of my favorite exercises to recommend is the one-legged squat. The mistake out there most people make is they assume that a one-legged squat is a one-legged squat is a one-legged squat. But I'm going to tell you that there are variations of the one-legged squat that will hit different muscles and hit different fibers in your leg. Some will hit more stabilizers like the gracilis and the adductor muscles, and some will concentrate more on the glutes and the outer quad. Just so you know, there's the dumbbell one-legged squat, which is great, okay, where you just stand in one space. I'll show you a clip of it. You just stand in one spot and you go up and down like a one-legged squat, okay? Just up and down. You don't have to come forward or back. You just come right up and down, and it keeps the tension right on the hamstrings. Now you can come all the way forward and back, and that is also another variation where you're squeezing the glutes at the top, okay? So another way of doing this is through barbell. A lot of people would think barbell and dumbbell are the same thing. Well, they're not. When you do barbell, it changes where the weight is distributed and the center of gravity changes, and therefore it will hit different muscle groups than the dumbbell. Now, dumbbell is a little bit easier on the lower back, but if you can do barbell one-legged squats, I highly recommend them. So one of my favorite movements is the one-legged squat on the Smith machine. Okay, so the Smith machine at my gym is not so good because it has a lot of friction on the way down, so you don't get a lot of the eccentric portion in the movement. But the fact is that the Smith machine squat allows a certain amount of stabilization, so you can really hit those main muscle groups really hard. So the outer quad and the hamstring and the butt, they really get destroyed on that because you're not working on balancing through using your hip and adductor muscles. It's another way of really hitting certain muscle fibers and taking them right to absolute failure. So if you have a lower back problem, a Smith machine lunge is actually a good idea. It can actually work pretty good for you. Another exercise is the leg press. This is pretty obvious. I mean, the leg press is something that a lot of people use. I find the leg press is fun to get a pump and good to get some quadricep blood going and everything, but I find it's probably one of the least effective exercises for overall leg development, although it is very popular because, once again, it's safer than doing squats and anything that involves the lower back. With leg press, a lot of people don't know this, is that you must keep your butt down on the pad. You must keep your back up against the pad, and you don't round your bum up off the bottom. Don't round your bum up off the bottom to get the knees down lower, okay? That will cause a herniation in your back. So do not do this. Make sure you keep your butt flat on the leg press and flat on that pad, on that seat, okay? So leg press can be a safe movement for you depending on the type of back injury you have, but leg press is another alternative. Now here's another one that's not done often by bodybuilders, but it's a pretty effective way of really working the quadriceps and really working the butt. It's called the step up. A lot of people make this mistake. They do the step up, but they try to step up too far. They try to make too high of a step, so the tension goes on the leg to go up, and then the tension leaves and goes to the other leg to come down, right? So they're stepping up and down, but they're actually transferring the weight weight from the front leg to the back leg, from the front leg to the back leg. That's the wrong way to do the step up if you really want to hit a muscle and hit it to failure. So what you want to do is more of a shallower step. If you want to really get a lot out of it, you do a shallower step, and then you basically keep the weight over the front leg. Keep the weight over the front leg and keep the tension on there. And you come down low enough that the weight just starts to transfer to the back leg, and then you come back up again. So that's a really good way to get a burn, and it's also a great way to get a good pump in the quads, and you do get some hamstring and also some adductor development from that as well. And of course, there's the other exercise, the walking lunge, which is something that a lot of people are familiar with. But the one thing I would suggest is when you are doing a walking lunge, to do an extra up and down in between each rep. So as you go forward, you do one rep, you go one lunge and then an extra one, because this will lower the amount of momentum that a lot of people try to, and myself included actually, I've actually pulled a muscle doing this, using too much momentum with weight and then losing my balance and then slightly pulling a muscle. Adding in this extra little rep with your walking lunge will help ameliorate the momentum and then keep your hips and your joints and everything a little bit safer. Now, of course, there are lots of machines out there like the leg extension, the leg curl, and all that kind of stuff that are pretty safe to use when you're nursing a back injury, but ultimately they're not really my favorite leg movements, so they're not really the ones I'd suggest for overall leg mass, although they can be good assister type exercises to help, concentrate on certain areas of your body. But ultimately, I don't really see isolation movements on the legs as really great for the knees in a lot of cases, unless of course you do them light and controlled. Constant tension and really slow movements and nice and light. You don't have to go extreme ranges of motion in these ones either for them to be effective. But that's it. Those are my movements I'd suggest for you if you have a lower back injury, and if you want to still build big legs, this is a way to do it. So I hope these exercises help you build some big legs. Thanks for watching, and thanks for sharing my stuff. And if you need to find out more about me, go to naturalgallantbodybuilding.com and take care for now.